Greetings, diehards. It's your boy Ebro, the Any Star host of the Dynex podcast. We're doing a podcast tonight, man. And I know you see the New York Nets. I was saying New York Nets. They're the Brooklyn Nets. They're a New York team. This is the Dire Knicks podcast, but they're crosstown rivals. And I have an opinion about the whole Harden thing, man. So we're just gonna get right into it. It's the Dire Knicks podcast. Let's go. Yes, so we're going to be talking about James Harden and the possibility of him going to the Nets, right? But before I could do that, I was looking for an article, or whatever that I could mess around with to kind of like connect the whole Knicks to the Nets thing, and that's Isaiah Thomas. Say what you want to say. Isaiah Thomas is he's affiliated with the Knicks. He had like the reins. He was a coach. He was a general manager. He was a president. He was everything. During probably like one of the worst times to be a Knicks fan. But it was fun during those times, whatever. So, I had to use that because of the connection with Isaiah Thomas. Anyway, how does this all connect with what's going on with the Knicks? Obviously, nobody cares about the Nets. It's still a Knicks town. Every time the Knicks do something, it matter if they don't do it or if they do it, we're still the front page news. And even with James Harden, the possibility of him getting to the Nets, even though that's a real possibility. People really still aren't talking about them. They probably won't talk about them until like if they even make the playoffs or if they get to where people think they're going to get to. So anyway, but before you can really talk about Harden and just the net situation that's going on right now, because I know we got the history from last summer. They went and got Durant and Kyrie, which they never played a game together. Durant was hurt still. Kyrie Irving was hurt off and on. The earth is flat. And all this other nonsense. Right now, the only thing that you see out of Kevin Durant is him throwing passes to his business partner to his balcony on the internet. That's the only thing that you see out of Kevin Durant. Oh, besides his chia pet hairstyle that he got now, looking crazy. But like I said, in order to talk about the Nets, you have to talk about the past. And Nets fans don't even know the past. The only true Net fans that I know are the ones from the '60s and the '70s when they were in the ABA. When they were the Long Island Nets, they were actually the New York Nets in the ABA. They actually won a championship at the same time the Knicks won one of their championships. And, of course, they were led by Dr. J and they had a bunch of other guys from the ABA. So, that's the real Nets. Them going to New Jersey was a shit show. We'll talk about all of that in a second, man. Let's just get it up. Of course, everyone uses Basketball Reference for everything, right? So let's scroll up on Basketball Reference. Well, let's even do that. They've been alive for 53 seasons, 9 seasons in the ABA, 44 in the NBA. They started in 1967 to I believe 1967, 68 is when they went to the NBA. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know. I'm not gonna really fact check any of that stuff, but I just want to show these guys here. These are just some faces that you've seen play for the Nets, and a lot of you guys aren't old enough to remember. Or whatever, but a lot of these guys you want to talk about. Buck Williams on the left, the far left, that's Mr. Net right there. Buck Williams, of course. Dr. J, you see him next to Jason Kidd there. Scroll down, guys. Kerry Kittles was Jason Kidd's backup mate. Scroll down a little bit. You got DC. That's Derek Coleman. Derek Coleman's one of the greatest Nets to ever play. I'm not familiar with my man here. But this goes back to the original days when they were in the ABA and stuff. That's Billy Paltz. This Mike Jaminski, once upon a time, is a center. He actually was pretty good in the NBA. He played during the era where everybody was good at center. You had to have a center, and Jaminski was functional back in those days. Chris Morris. Chris Morris is one of the Nets that I remember from when I used to watch them. And yes, I used to watch them, man, because let's face it, man. Back in the days, it wasn't so easy to get cable, man. Even like back when the Knicks won the championships, people didn't really watch it in real time. They watched it in replay. You know what I'm saying? So like the game was already finished, and then people were watching the replay. A lot of people didn't even realize that's what was going on. So some people were already celebrating before the game was even over when people were watching it on network television. So anyway, they did it on replay back in those days. But back in my day, you want to talk about the 80s, 80s, late 80s, early 90s and stuff like that. The only basketball that I could really watch was the Nets, because the Knicks were on cable. Cable was expensive. You know, it was a big tedious thing. You had to get cable wires you drilled into the back of your house, and they had to drill holes through your wall, and you had to have a box and all kind of stuff. So there was a lot of different ways you can get around that, man. A lot of people had illegal cable. People had to hook up. That's what the phrase comes from. Really, the got the hookup. You know, so a lot of people had the cable hookup. But if you didn't want to deal with that, because you can get in big trouble for that back in the days, you just dealt without it. Every once in a while, you'll click around the dial, maybe stick the connect the television to the antenna on the roof and turn the dial around. Maybe you might catch a Knicks game. Maybe I forgot what they were called before they became MSG Network. But you click around, and then you might catch a fuzzy Knicks game, whatever. So you'd be able to watch it like that. But like if you didn't have that going on, like especially me, I basically grew up in the projects. You know, pink houses. Shout out East New York. uh there was nothing, there's none of that. Like you can't just connect your cable to the what do you call the wire to the roof, because this just wasn't no thing, and nobody in the projects had cable back in those days. So I mean, what is this, Joe Biden? I got a fly in here. This is crazy. So anyway, so I mean, you didn't have that. So the only thing that you had was Channel 9. That was WRTV. And that was the New Jersey Nets, man. So I just mentioned his name, Chris Morris. Chris Morris was around the era from when I used to watch. So let's just scroll down, man. Do a little history lesson with the Nets. You want to say like get out of here, fly? Did I get him? Get out of here. Shoe fly. Hope I got him. Anyway, we'll go to like the late 80s or whatever. Let's do this. Let me see here. Let me see if I recognize some of these guys. See, I mean, you have to really go into this. This is the Buck Williams era. This is when he had Roy Hinson, Mike Jaminski, John Bagley, Orlando Woodridge. This actually was a good team. Otis Birdsong is another guy. If anybody remembers these people, let's check out their record. 1963, not so good, huh? Let's go up. Let's see what's going on. Let's go to like a winning season. 26-56, 17-65. Jesus Christ, they were terrible. That's why nobody cared about them. This is when they're starting to get a little bit better. You see a name there. Willis Reed was the coach. Was the executive. The GM that was rocking there. You see familiar names. You see Raphael Addison. You see Kenny Anderson, Mookie Blaylock, Sam Bowie, and all these guys. This is like really like the golden era. But I want to get into guys like Sherman Douglas and stuff like that. Sherman Douglas, you want to talk about Blue Edwards, these type of guys. These are the guys that you will watch whenever you tuned into a Nets game. So I kind of got hooked on some of these players back in the days, because like I said, you couldn't really watch the Knicks at all. Back in the times when the Knicks had like Kiki Vanderwade, and they had Johnny Newman and stuff like that. You really had to have cable to watch those games. So like I had to turn to these guys, man. So I really want to see the roster that had Sherman Douglas and stuff on there. Let me see. Let me just type in Sherman Douglas. If anybody remembers Sherman Douglas, that's a Syracuse guy. He was supposed to have been like a great point guard, but when he got into the NBA, he didn't really have that great of a career. So anyway, Sherman Douglas looked like he only played one season in the NBA. I just want to see. Oh, they actually played not in the NBA for the Nets. He actually played 3. So I want to see this one, 97. That's actually 97, 98. Let me see here. Sherman Douglas played in Boston. Maybe it was with Boston. I don't know, man. But I mean, you have to really think, because even Nets fans don't know anything about these about their own team. But that's the point I'm trying to make here. But like you fast forward now to present days. Even when they won the championship, when they got to the championship with the Nets with Jason Kidd, the arena was completely empty. Nobody was watching for 2 straight years. In Newark over there, nobody was watching. So like it was so bad that the Nets had to relocate, and they were talking about moving them to the Midwest, moving them down south, maybe moving them upstate New York or whatever, or maybe even Pennsylvania, to give Pennsylvania another team. But the only logical place for them to go is Brooklyn, because Brooklyn's up and coming. So and that there it is there. And then like the Knicks, the Knicks are doing their thing. They was floundering, for whatever they were doing. But the Nets had to go and get basically they had to sell their souls. Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce hates New York. And what did the Nets do? The Nets go and they bring Paul Pierce to New York. Not only did they bring Paul Pierce over here, they brought his boy KG over too. Now KG, I know a lot of people say KG is one of like the hardest working, hardest playing basketball players in the history of the NBA. But he also was a fucking straight asshole, man. The guy, he was he was like he was just a nasty dude, cursing people out and slapping dudes and all kind of disgusting things that he would doing during the game. It's just something that's totally anti-New York. Now I know a lot of people like that type of thing, but to me that's disrespecting the game, all that unnecessary cursing and then just all those antics and stuff like the fake tough guy stuff. Because he wasn't a tough guy. He was only a tough guy when it came to certain players. Like he would pick on certain guys, but not a dude like Anthony Peeler. If you remember Anthony Peeler, he like almost knocked him out during one game because he was mouthing, and they happened to be best friends because they played with each other in Minnesota. So it's just a lot of crazy stuff. So I mean, let's just get into their first year in Brooklyn. So that was in the 2012-2013 season. So they make their way to Brooklyn. I just saw their thing. I just want to see the points per game. Look at the players that they brought here. First, they brought Joe Johnson. They had Deron Williams, Brook Lopez, Gerald Wallace, and stuff like that. They did a good job putting a bunch of guys together. You got Jerry Stackhouse there. You can see there a bunch of different names that they have. They just try so bad to get these guys here. And the press conferences, oh look, we're gonna be better than the Nets, and they're trying to separate the city. But a lot of people don't get it if you're not from New York. If you're not from New York, like Brooklyn is New York, Manhattan is New York. Manhattan is not New York City. New York City is 5 boroughs. You got Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Staten Island, Queens. You know what I'm saying? These are the 5 boroughs. So we're all one community. So one basketball team coming into Brooklyn is not going to separate the city. So it's not going to be just the Bronx and Manhattan. It's going to like the Knicks and Queens and Brooklyn are somehow going to be like teamed up because they're people can't really, if you're not from New York, people can't really tell the difference between Queens and Brooklyn because they're like basically next to each other, so they can't tell where it begins or whatever. But we're still one New York, you know what I'm saying? So Staten Island also, I keep forgetting about Staten Island, even the tri-state, New Jersey and Connecticut, whatever. This is all New York Knicks territory. So you can't just like pull a team out of nowhere and then all of a sudden say, yo, this is our city now. It's garbage, man. But they did have a nice little run, while the Knicks weren't playing well. Deron Williams was like one of the top point guards in the NBA. Joe Johnson still was ISO Zo doing his thing. Right now you see 16 points, 18 points a game. Brook Lopez was still at the top of his game as well. Brook Lopez was only 24. So there goes that. I'm gonna go to the season where they when they picked up Paul Pierce and KG. I mean that to me that was just crazy. Here goes Paul Pierce. Sorry. So it was actually the next season. So the next, I mean, they were trying so hard to just to kick the Knicks out of town, man. They went and got Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. You got Sean Livingston now. Marcus Thornton actually liked him as a player. Allen Anderson was pretty good. Andre Blatch was on the team. Kirilenko, I'm looking at Kirilenko. Teletovic, I used to kind of like him too. Mason Plumlee, a bunch of different guys. You can see, I mean, they had like a freaking all-star team. Reggie Evans, Tyshawn Taylor, Maurice Teague was here. Jason Collins, of course, he's like a holdover from the Nets years. But I mean, they would just try so bad. And I mean, like getting Paul Pierce is just like completely selling the soul. That's like fuck you to the New York City area. But like I'm trying to say, you can't split the city in half with the Brooklyn Nets and the Knicks because it's all one city. So that's the problem that the Nets have. Just in general, like because you come into this city, you're basically a guest. You know what I'm saying? You have to show your worth. You know what I'm saying? Brooklyn is Brooklyn. So you don't need to do none of these bells and whistles to be important in Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Brooklyn is Brooklyn. So if you show love, Brooklyn's going to show love. And then, it's one thing about Brooklyn is that Brooklyn has so much pride in their because I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from East New York, Brooklyn. I just shouted out pink houses. But this is my section of Brooklyn, so we have a lot of pride, obviously, because I go by E-Rue to Any Star. That's a play to where I'm from. So we have a lot of pride coming from Brooklyn. So the thing is like like if you show love and be humble or whatever, then we'll accept you. You don't need to have all these bells and whistles. You don't need to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, whatever. You don't got to do all that. Brooklyn is gonna follow you anyway. You know what I'm saying? Even if the Nets didn't make splashes and trade all their draft picks just to get Paul Pierce and Kevin Johnson and all those type of things, that they still would have the Brooklyn fans, because that's what Brooklyn is. Brooklyn's like, all right, you guys are here, all right, so you're one of us now, so we'll hold you down, the type of thing. But they haven't really done that since. So I mean, it kind of pissed me off a little bit when we got bamboozled by the media. The media said that we were going to get Kyrie and Durant. Then when it wasn't going to happen, they actually went to the Nets, and then it comes out that Kyrie never wanted to come to the Knicks. He always wanted to go to the Nets because he grew up a Nets fan and he just wanted to play for the Nets. And then Durant came over because Kyrie came over. Basically, why would he go to the Knicks by himself? So that was the play right there. But all of a sudden nobody knew what was going to happen until it happened. Now it's like, oh, look at the Knicks are so stupid. I thought I was getting them, right? But I mean that's I mean, they use our own people against each other. And then of course, people that are from Brooklyn are so prideful. They just eat it up. Yeah, man, the Knicks are better than it's Brooklyn City now. It's like, yo, come on, man. This is not the right way. That's just not the New York spirit, man. The New York spirit is, we're all together in this, no matter what, even through tragedy or whatever. We still New York is New York. Everybody show love. That's what I was supposed to be. It said Brooklyn is, Brooklyn spread love is the Brooklyn way. But they're trying to like change that some kind of way. It just sucks, man. I just wish it wasn't like that, because I mean, like, fast forward now, the Nets are doing well. So I mean, as a Knicks fan, you can't even like tip your hat to the crosstown rivals that you're like, yo, okay, they got them, they're gonna get busy, but we can't even do that because you guys put us against each other, and now we have to be like, yo, fuck the Nets. I'm not one of those guys, those fans that's gonna be like F the Nets. I know a lot of Yankees fans, they say F the Mets, or Mets fans especially, they hate the Yankees. My thing is like, yo, like if you guys win, that's cool. If you make it to the playoffs and the Yankees don't, then it's not like, oh, fuck the Nets, I'm not gonna vote, I'm not gonna go for them, because nah, man, you're a New York team. I want to see you win. Like the Jets, back when they had well, the I can't think of his freaking name. Was it Kenyon Martin? I keep saying Kenyon Martin, but I think his name was Martin. It was a running back. Then they had a good quarterback at the time too. Can't get the names right, but they had a nice little run where they could have actually made it far, but they didn't really do well in the playoffs or whatever. So like you kind of could root for players like that, because they build organically, and then they're going on a run. So you can tip your hat off to the Jets if you're a Giants fan. But a lot of fans don't really get down like that. But I mean, like, come on, that's like a New York thing to do. But anyway, the Nets start off from the front, from the jump, trying to be enemies to the Knicks, trying to take over the city. It's just crazy, man. Anyway, fast forward to what's happening now. They got Kyrie and they got Durant. Okay, cool. These guys are probably going to come into the season now healthy, ready to play basketball. Durant probably could have played in the playoffs, but there's no reason for him to do that. So he's going to be like close to 100% when the season starts. Kyrie is going to be ready to play with his boy. You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna be ready to go. So now the elephant in the room, finally getting to it. We're gonna talk about James Harden. So I'll just remove this. James Harden. The Nets could break the NBA. If they get James Harden, they could literally break the NBA. Because it's like, yo, you already got Kyrie, you already got Durant, two of the best players in the NBA, and now you're gonna get Harden, is arguably like the greatest shooting guard of this era. Minus Kobe. You know what I'm saying? After Kobe and Dwayne Wade, now Harden is like, he's the only shooting guard there. So now you have like the best shooting guard of this current era on your team, along with one of the better point guards, and probably arguably one of the best players of this generation, Kevin Durant. Three guys really that are some of the best players of this generation. Win a bunch of winners, guys that played in won championships. Harden's been to the championship with OKC or whatever. So I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of corny a little bit, because it strangleholds the NBA. Got too much talent on one team, while all the other teams are just trash, like the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? But it puts us in the spot where do you panic and do what the Nets did? And now we got to try to upstage the Nets. Now we're going to trade everybody to try to get a big three to go against them. It's just not right for the city. It's not right for just especially for what things are going on right now with COVID and stuff like that. It's just not fun. It's just not fun to have to do that. So anyway, we could talk basketball with the Nets. If they was to get Harden, it's quite possible because I basically like I've seen a trade out there where they basically trade the four guys that held the Nets down the last two seasons. You want to talk about Spencer Dinwiddie, the center that they picked up. I'm not really familiar with some of these names, whatever. I can easily put it up again. But you know, it's just crazy, man. Some of these guys that they drafted, from them, let's actually just pull it up. Some of these guys that they actually drafted homegrown talent and stuff like that, and they're just gonna piss it away, just to get Harden, and now they're gonna have like a bunch of guys that just ragtag group just to play with those guys. So I mean, they could do it. It could actually work if they was to really do this, but no, it's just bad for basketball, man. Let me just give these guys love, man. You want to talk about Spencer Dinwiddie? I said, Tyrene Prince. He did well ever since he came from Atlanta. Jared Allen's the center that I was talking about. Even Jared Temple. Jared Temple played well for them. Karis LeVert is the player that I was thinking about. Karis LeVert actually held them down before he had his little ankle injury. DeAndre Jordan, he's going to be hanging over. He'll probably take a salary cut just to play with those guys. And just go down the line, all these different young guys. Theo Pinson, he's on the Knicks now. Uh, you know, you just go down the line. They can make it work, man. Trade these guys with it as far as salary just to get Harden. Now you got Kyrie and Harden in the backcourt and Durant. Now, how could that work? How could all that work? Of course, it's gonna work because these guys are good players. But somebody like Kevin Durant, he just came off an Achilles injury, so you don't want him doing a lot of moving and shaking and stuff like that. You want him just to be a receiver, kind of like how Dwayne Wade was when LeBron came over. So you got Harden. Harden's got to be the engine, and then Kyrie is just gonna just do what he does. You know what I'm saying? So if Harden can't get a shot, then you give it to Kyrie, and you got Steve Nash over there with D'Antoni. So they're gonna be trying to run and gun. So that's gonna play into some of these guys' strength. Like Kevin Durant, he's a shooter. He's gonna want to shoot those threes. So if they push him playing that 7 seconds or less type of thing, coming around screens, doing that type of thing, where maybe Kyrie might be the engine of that team, or maybe help have Harden playing off the ball more. Or they could just play a double-headed point guard where these guys both can shoot. That's why OKC didn't really work, because you couldn't put Harden and Westbrook together. Obviously, look at what happened in Houston. It just doesn't work. So that's why you had to have Harden come off the bench when they were younger. And then of course Durant is Durant. This time it is a little bit different. Like I said, Durant is coming off a major injury. You don't want him jumping around as much as he used to. You just want him being a receiver, and he's gonna knock those shots down. That guy's an incredible scorer. He's not gonna lose that. So he's definitely gonna be still scoring big time. Especially with two major ball handlers taking a lot of pressure off him. And of course, James Harden, he already has a lot of experience playing point guard, so he can do that too, man. So it's something that could work. Of course, like I said, I mentioned they got DeAndre Jordan. They probably will take a pay cut just to play with them. And then you get another guy, in a power forward that could do the same thing, basically a dirty work kind of guy. Maybe somebody that could hit a jump shot. I forgot who's available now. Tristan Thompson. All these different kind of guys that could come to the Nets and fill that the other primary power forward kind of spot to do all the dirty work that the three big guys are not gonna do. Then of course there's plenty of guys in the NBA that are like borderline, whatever. They can still shoot, they can still do little things like that. So you could put a team together, and there you go, man. I really hate talking about it. I know the fly was in the screen earlier trying to ruin the show. But it's just annoying. And like being a Knicks fan, like you would like to like congratulate them if they was to get Harden. But you already know that as soon as he gets there, like we're gonna get flamed just because we're here. The Nets got Harden. Yo, the Knicks. Oh man, what we gotta do with that? What do we gotta do with that? The Nets sold their soul to get all the players that they have. They have no draft picks and nothing like that. So they're gonna trade all the guys that they did draft the last couple of years, all this homegrown talent, especially LeVert. I really like LeVert. Even Spencer Dinwiddie, even though he's a little bit of an asshole, but he's a good player. I would love to get Spencer Dinwiddie on the Knicks, but it just hurts, man. It kind of hurts to see that, man. Because like you would like just being from Brooklyn, you would want like a team, organically grown team over there, someone's like a team that you could follow on the side. Same way, like I was trying to explain in the beginning. I used to follow the Nets on the side because there was nothing else to watch. The Knicks were on cable, and nobody could afford cable back in those days. And like nobody was coming to the projects to install cable back in the early '90s and late '80s. Nobody was doing that. That was just something that people weren't doing. You know what I'm saying? So, you just had to do what you do to get your basketball fix. And, I was like, I can't say a closet Nets fan because I don't really like the Nets. It's just the only basketball that was on. Yeah, man. So, you go from those eras where, I can even talk about like when they got there's a bunch of guys, Keith Van Horn, that whole era when they got that, where they got him. They had Sam Cassell over there. Kendall Gill was one of my favorite players. He was actually on the Knicks for a little while. Jason Williams. They had a bunch of different guys over there, which they were like organically grown players or whatever. Traded honestly, not these like gang trades where they're just trying to get all the best players on one team. It wasn't like that. They were like organically grown teams, and they were really trying to put like a top, like a good five together to make a run. So, they had a lot of fun teams over there to, just because like I couldn't afford to watch the Knicks at the time. Only listen on the radio. You couldn't really watch the game back in those days. But like you just wish that they would get back to that and do that. But I mean, if they want to sell their soul again, fully, this will be a complete like rip job, of the soul of Brooklyn, as far as basketball by getting Harden. And it's gonna hurt me to see Brooklyn fans out there with the fake beards and stuff like that. I mean, that's not Brooklyn. Oh man, but gentrification is real, man. So the Nets are a gentrified team. The stadium is gentrified. They still got gang fights in front of the stadium on Flatbush Avenue. Still, the cops are running through there basically every day. Because of the high schools nearby and just everything that's going down on Atlantic Avenue and Flatbush over there. This is like a major like transit hub. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. It's an eyesore. It's an ugly ass building. It's all rusted. It has like foliage on the top of this shit. It's just bugged out, man. It's just a mess in general. Like I have a lot of memories from that area growing up. Especially going down Flatbush. You go further down Flatbush, you run into the area where Biggie was where I grew up at. A lot of there's like that bookstore that was down there I used to go to when I was a kid. There's a lot of different memories I have from the area. But now this is 2020. This is not the same New York. It's not the same old stuff. So it just, I'm just thinking about it. It just kind of like breaks my heart a little bit. But I mean, if they get Harden, they get Harden, and and it is what it is. The Knicks still it doesn't affect anything the Knicks do. We shouldn't do any herky jerky things to change our plans or whatever. I'll say it right now. I'm against Russell Westbrook. I already made a podcast about that. I'm against CP3. I actually like Fred VanVleet, but it's not the all end all for me. But we can do things organically as well. We can get a guy like Jeff Teague to come in to do the same thing that we think that CPT is going to do for you via trade. And we can do all this without getting rid of our assets. So that's what I would like to do. This is kind of like a prequel to tomorrow. When the trade wars start happening. The NBA opens up the floodgates at 12 o'clock tomorrow. But I don't really care what the Nets do. They could do what they do is not really going to affect things that I do as a Knicks fan. But I just know that we're going to have to keep our guards up against us because people are going to be attacking us left and right on Twitter and in real life and everything else in between there. Yeah, man. So that's it, man. This is Dire Knicks podcast. Evil to Any Star. Thanks for tuning in. I talked a little about the Nets. Hopefully I gave you a little bit of insight. That fly, tried to ruin the show, whatever, man. But I think I might have killed him, But it is what it is, man. We're not gonna let that stop the show. Anyway, this is Evil to Any Star. 4 fingers to the forehead, tucking your thumb. Salute. See you guys on the next one. And this week is gonna be crazy, man.